Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present Cosmic Prayers, your weekly shift, Mondays at 11 Mountain Time, with your host, Laura Topper. The Cosmic Prayers, live from the UK. And now, here she is, Laura Topper.
My mic is muted. Hi, and welcome everybody to the Cosmic Prayer. I am so excited to be here today. It's Monday, the 5th of April, and I'm based here in the UK. And wherever you are in the world, whoever you are on our beautiful planet, welcome here to the Cosmic Prayer right now. You are listening and watching through New Thought Media Network. Today is an exciting day because the sun is shining and we're here in the springtime, and our guest this week is just such an incredible, beautiful spirit soul, and he's here to shine his light and share his idea and his interpretation of prayer and how he uses prayer as a licensed spiritual practitioner. Joseph Gabrielson is a friend of mine and a fellow student in ministerial education in studying through the Florida campus with Centers for Spiritual Living. And he really is such an incredible energy and consciousness. And we're really blessed for Joseph to be here right now on the Cosmic Prayer sharing with us. So let's wait no longer and welcome Joseph Gabrielson to the Cosmic Prayer.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me, Laura. And for everybody also that's working behind the scenes, thank you for your support.
Thank you so much for coming on to the Cosmic Prayer. And yes, thank you, Diego, for getting us up and running and allowing us this time and space on New Thought Media Network. Erica's here already. Hi, Erica. Joseph, welcome. It's just a blessing that you're here because I know that you're doing such incredible work personally for yourself and for others as a practitioner and a minister in the making. And yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
It is. It's very exciting because it's answering a soul's calling that's been around for a while. So that's very exciting, but it's also very stretching because, becoming a minister, you're somewhat agreeing to grow in public and be very open and share in a way which is very authentic, which sometimes the journey to that can be a little scary, but it's been wonderful with all the support from the campus. I really enjoyed meeting you as well. Yes.
And I love what you've just said, Joseph, about growing in public. I mean, it's kind of, we're all doing that to some degree, whether we're studying for, on this route with this calling, and growing in public. It's like growing up out loud, isn't it?
Yeah, and I realize now that quite often by being vulnerable and sharing your challenge, and most importantly, how you got through, is the way or the doorway that you can help others. Mm-hmm. A lot of the prayer work I do, most of the main issues are really things that I'm working on still. I just might be a few steps ahead. So I've found that your gifts can be inherent in your wounding or something that you think might be less than divine, when the truth is it's all divine. So yeah, that's something I believe for a while. As far as prayer is concerned, before I came to Science of Mind, I didn't really have a set definition or an idea of prayer. But from when I was very young, I could see auras and colors. And I remember having conversations with energies and entities that were beyond, but it was just like a conversation. I didn't really have the idea that I was praying, but I guess in a way I was. So Science of Mind was really my first introduction to praying more formally.
And do you think that that has really shaped your understanding of prayer into prayer not having to be formal, not having to be this formal thing, and yet it can be, you know, every word we speak or the intentions that we have. It doesn't necessarily have to be this formal process.
What I've found around that is the form can help when you're learning, to give you confidence and help you to understand what's going on. But for me, the most important thing is the feeling.
Yeah.
My minister, who trained me as a practitioner, used to always say, if there's no feeling in a prayer, you're just announcing something. That's not really true.
I love that.
So
Let's
that's
put
what
that up, Diego. If there's no feeling in a prayer, you're just announcing something.
Right. So I really base it on the feeling, and I continue to pray, whether it's for myself or for others, until I usually end up feeling some kind of a lightness or some kind of a shift. It doesn't always come with an awareness. Quite oftentimes I just feel a shift, and I trust that that will manifest in its own time. In the notes you sent me, you were asking about a time when a prayer took a little bit longer than I would have wanted it to, or that I expected.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I got the vision for me to become a minister when I had my third visit to the CSL, and that was 10 years ago.
Okay.
I didn't expect it to take 10 years to get here, but in the meantime, it went kind of zigzag up and down, all kinds of interesting places. And then I got here. So it's kind of a good example of, just because it's not manifesting right now doesn't mean it's not going to. Usually in my experience, what that means is, if it's not manifesting right away, it's not always a hard no. It can also sometimes be, you're not ready yet. There's something else that you have to do or be or embody in order for you to step into that.
I'm really pleased that you brought that up just before you continue, because I think that's a really valid thing here. We pray and we have our desires, and whatever those desires are, whether they're material desires or whether they're a shift in our perspective or a deepening of an understanding, and yet it doesn't always happen instantly, and then the impatience, if we allow it, can take over, can't it? Do you think that bursts the prayer? Do you think that slows down the process of the prayer, the demonstration?
My answer to that, just from intuition, is it doesn't necessarily slow down the prayer, but I think it just kind of switches the energy to a different prayer, because whether you're saying something negative or positive, it's still a prayer.
Yeah.
Okay. So it not so much dissolves it, but it will take over some of the good that can come through. So it's kind of like you're contradicting yourself energetically that way.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it dissolves it, but it definitely kind of delays it because you're focused on something outside of wholeness. So
Yes.
yeah.
So you found Science of Mind, and the journey that you've been on, or the adventure that you're on, this unfolding that you're on, Joseph, to become the minister that you are, and to share your knowing through your life experience, and to do that in your authentic, with real authenticity. And how, because I know, your ministry is called Divine Heart Ministry, and it's on Facebook at the moment, isn't it? And you're waiting for a website which is coming up. So Divine Heart Ministry, and you're there to show people, because your journey is not one that we, you're not as able-bodied as others, as some. And how has prayer assisted you in that?
Yeah, it's a big part of my life, because not only am I passionate about prayer, but as Laura said, I have cerebral palsy, which is a physical disability that I've had since birth. And long story short is that it affects muscles and nerves, so I'm unable to walk. And I think that affirmative prayer helped me to get out of the pity party. And I really resonated with affirmative prayer because it put God inside of you rather than it being something outside of you that you're praying to. That realization that you are it was really huge for me. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things that I remember that was a big shift in my consciousness was realizing during a prayer workshop in Foundations that what I really wanted was acceptance, and that I could give that to myself. I didn't have to wait for someone else to show it or to be it or to do it. I can just say right here and now, I accept myself. And I remember after that workshop being very emotional because it just went right down from the head to the heart. Yeah, sure, I knew that in my head, but did I really believe it? Probably not, until that day when I had that experience that all this stuff on the list, I can basically cross it all out and just write acceptance. And if we look at acceptance, there really is no person, place, or thing that can give that to me besides me. So the way I like to put it is that Science of Mind has helped me to take my wheelchair and my condition from being a burden, a trap. Oh, I hate this. My life is so-and-so. It's taken it from that to me realizing that this is the vehicle for my freedom. Even though it can cause some kind of frustrations, it really is what allows me to be out there in the world. If there was, an affirmation or a short sentence that I would say around that, it would be that there's a reason for each person to be here, no matter what the configuration. And along with all the challenges and the struggles, Divine has also given you everything that you need to meet those struggles. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. So if Divine gives you a challenge, Divine also has a solution.
Yes.
Otherwise, this incarnation wouldn't have started in the first place. So instead of going, oh, why is it like this? I changed my thought to, how is this supporting me? How is this allowing me to unfold. So it was a big change in how I saw myself and also in my ability to give myself love and practice a lot more self-care. So, yeah.
You're speaking such a vital message here, Joseph, to me, to anybody that's watching right now, because we so often walk around with feelings of blame for this or for that, or anger or resentment because it isn't as we think it should be. And here you are saying, well, you have learned how to use how you think it shouldn't be as your biggest asset, as an asset for your life. So it's just catapulted you out of victim consciousness, so that you can be this this messenger for people to say, hey, you know, this is what I know is true for me, and if it's true for me, it can be true for you too. It's
I just saw
so
someone.
powerful.
I just saw some nice comment and someone saying that it's a part of your contract. And this is slightly getting a little bit out of science of mind, but no worries.
It's okay, because it's all God and it's all good.
I actually have had visions and meditations and experiences in my life that have shown me that I did choose this before I came into body. That's kind of a university level education, and the main curriculum is compassion. Because in order for me to be the messenger that I am, I had to develop a lot of compassion for myself, even on the ugliest of times. And that is what I can extend to others. And a lot of it is because I developed that compassion for myself first.
And
so I don't have to go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You carry on, because I'm going to ask you when you finished your sentence.
I think that was it. Go ahead.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Where did or does prayer fit into that in your spiritual practice daily, and your daily spiritual practice?
I usually do my spiritual practices in the morning, largely because I'm most fresh. It's wonderful to do it in the evening too, but that's just what suits me best. And I do have an affirmative prayer that I do daily. And I also have a prayer partner that I can reach out to in case something gets a little bit hairy or something where I might need a little bit of help to get past something. That's
we all
one
need
thing
that.
So, and I'm also really big into using music or chant as prayer.
Okay.
And I know that you can, I know that you'll relate to this, but part of the draw for new thought before I knew the teaching was that music, because a lot of the music which they were, because a lot of the music that they were playing is the teaching in one song. So if I started going around with these songs in my head and starting to realize that, oh my goodness, the tape is changing. And I had to really think about it, because when you're singing a song, you're just enjoying the song, and you know how songs get stuck in your head anyway. So it kind of went from there to using the more affirmative prayer to, but I always receive over and over again in my journaling that every moment can be a prayer. Every breath can be a prayer. Everything that you say can be a prayer if you do it with that intention. And a lot of times I'll use cues throughout the day, or just take parts of an affirmative prayer and put them around like affirmations to remind myself of that prayer and kind of ground back into that prayer.
That is amazing. So for viewers that are listening now or will be watching this later on, because I know you have a song that you've chosen, and I'd really like to play that, Joseph. But before we do, can you just explain how you see the 5 steps of prayer in the simplest way possible for somebody that's watching right now, so that they can take this as a kind of teaching from you of this is how I do it. This is how you do it.
Okay. Well, unification is the first step. Recognition is the first step. And that simply means acknowledging the presence that is greater than you, the force that is working as your life at the back of everything that you're doing, whatever that is for you, whatever you call it. So you could say there is one power in the universe for good and I can use it, or you could say Father, Mother, God, whichever names suit you. Unification is about realizing that you are one with this force, this love, the divine, and you always have been. So you're an expression of it. So one is recognizing, second one is connecting with that power so that it's not something you're just praying to, you're actually connected and embodied as part of it. Then you have the declaration, which just speaks to what it is you're trying to bring about in your life, or what you would like more of. And the important part about this is to always think of it in words and in terms as if you already have what you want. You don't want to say it like, when I have this, or if this happens, or maybe you want to speak as if it's already existing, because there's already the idea in the universe. You just have to bring it down. So then with Thanksgiving, you just are expressing gratitude for the ability to connect, the ability to pray, the ability to co-create your life. And you're just being reassured that this prayer is already done. And then the final step is release, which is just letting go.
Yeah.
So what I want to say about that would be that the last step of release is the most important part, because if you don't do that, you'll have a lot of delay. That's all I'm going to say about that. If you don't do that, and it's a good thing to know that if you're having difficulty doing that, there's some kind of attachment or pattern in your mind that is stopping you from letting go. So even if you don't know what it is, you can know, well, there's something there that is stopping me from releasing. And part of releasing
you can pray for that as well, can't you? We can pray for that as well. For easy detachment, yes.
You can do a prayer about letting go.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think too that letting go means having the prayer, finishing it with "and so it is," and then just sitting in that energy and not going to the place of, well, I'm not sure if I said that right, or if I did this, or What if this person does this, and you ruminate all about it. So my teachers always encourage me that once you release a prayer, think about something else. Don't go over that prayer again and again. Oh, I should have said this, or maybe it's this person or that person or this feeling. Once you release a prayer, and if that is happening, that's a clue for yourself to say it's not released. Because if it's released, that's not going to happen. Okay.
I love what you're saying, because it's really important that when we've said the prayer and released it, that we actually do, we physically do, and we emotionally do that. Come away from it and let the divine source, God, love, whatever we want to call this greater power that we know, deal with it, because it's being done. And I remember when I was doing my Louise Hay Heal Your Life coach training, and she's written it in her book, if you're digging up the garden looking to see how the seeds are growing, the seeds are growing, then you're just interfering with the process. But we do that, don't we? We want to know how.
And I guess the most simple way I can think of to tell you about prayer is that analogy of the garden, because you've got the seed, which you plant in the soil, which is the creative medium, and then you get the plant, which is your manifestation. But it's not really going to be a fruitful plant if A, you don't water it or give it sun or any nurturing, or B, you dig it up every 5 minutes and say, are you growing yet, right? Yes. It's just kind of that idea of continuing to water the seed, even though it may take a little while for you to see the shoots coming up. There is plants that don't bloom until every 3 or 4 years. But if that plant was growing and you expected that plant to grow in a week, it's not. It just is against its nature. So I think a lot of the reasons why I experienced delays is because I had to get my consciousness ready to accept what it is I was stepping into.
That is so powerful what you've just said. We're the ones that need to prepare, or that are being invited to prepare for what is already here. We're the ones, aren't we? It's not going to happen because we're asking someone else or something else to do something. We're the ones. It goes back to what you said in the very beginning about you realizing you could accept yourself. You didn't need to wait for others to do that. You could do it right there and then.
And I think that's part of the reason why I'm doing a lot of grief and trauma work with people. That's an area that I have experience, and I'm able to hold a safe container. So, just
amazing.
Let's regards.
Oh, sorry. I'm just wanting to check in here because we have a few messages. No, it's fine. You will carry on. We have a few messages coming up here that people that are watching live. Robert says that the one that returns with challenges comes to be our teachers too. There we are. That was in response to what you were saying about how you know that you're here for this reason, to show people who they are. Each time we return, we choose situations to learn and grow closer to source. Yes, thank you, Diego.
Okay, now I can see them. Okay, I see them.
You can see them. Erica is here and Wayne is here. Love evolves. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's amazing how I didn't used to pray until I understood what spiritual mind treatment is. 2012, really. I didn't used to pray formally with spiritual mind treatment before then. And yet I was always conscious that I was praying. I would speak what it was that I knew was here, but I didn't have this format of doing it as a treatment. And I think you're right. it gives us a spiritual mind treatment, gives us a beautiful container to learn from. And then when we get used to it and we understand how what the process is, we can let go a little bit, can't we, and not be so formal with how we're praying.
Yeah, and I will say, because you said that, it reminded me that, like you, my prayer at first was very informal and much more like a conversation. To be honest, now that I'm older, I realize that what was happening at that time is I was just spiritually channeling. So Spirit was speaking through me directly without me actually being involved, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it kind of started out as a much more organic kind of energetic kind of channeling, and then it became something that I could direct a little bit more and use the power of my word to, direct it a little bit more.
Wow.
So
I'm getting this real feeling of excitement talking with you here, Joseph, because it feels like I don't know, I just feel like that we have this incredible tool, spiritual mind treatment. And it's a very exciting tool, isn't it? When we get into it and use it daily, it can really shift our own consciousness. It can allow us to see who we are, to connect with who we are as love, our true nature. And then the demonstrations come from that place. It's so beautiful.
do you think we should play my video right about now?
There we go. It's a holy now. It's a holy now. I think Diego
that just reminded me. I don't know who wrote that, but thank you. It's a holy now.
Diego.
Okay, there we go. Enjoy the video.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Thank you, Joseph, for bringing that on to the Cosmic Prayer. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you know who the singer is?
The name is Peter Mayer, but I believe the Mayer is with E instead of O.
Beautiful. Isn't it? It is true what you were saying, how a song can bring it all into a heart and summarize hours of words of speaking and conversation in a song. It can be amazing in 3 minutes. And I love that because it connected me to that knowing that in a spiritual mind treatment, how everything is holy now. And he was singing about the water, changing it into wine. That's what we're doing in prayer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Transforming it within our own knowing.
Yeah. I used to have a practitioner when I first started on Science of Mind, and he said, it's okay if you don't believe it. You can borrow my consciousness until you do believe it. He always used to tell me, you can piggyback on my consciousness anytime that you want, because I'm doing the prayer for me, but it will benefit you. So.
Amazing. So do you teach people to pray in or to use spiritual mind treatment in your Divine Heart ministry? Let's talk about that for a moment, because your ministry is unfolding, isn't it, right now? So it's really exciting.
Yeah, in school, we're kind of experiencing the whole smorgasbord of everything that you could possibly turn a ministry into, and then having to sit with ourselves and say, what is my expression? Is it one of these, or is it a mix, or is it none at all? And of course, I love in-person speaking, but the majority of my ministry right now is online.
Yeah.
And I would say that simply a lot of the work that I do is to help people get to the place of realizing worthiness. Because once you get that piece of the puzzle, everything else becomes much, much easier. And if there was like one sentence that I wanted to say to somebody, it would be, worthiness does not depend on any circumstance. So you are worthy from birth, from the beginning, from conception, and even before. It's not something you did, something you have to do, something you must show or prove or anything. It's innate. And it's safe to be who I am. Because a lot of, just wrote that in there. Yeah. There's a lot of, I work with a lot of grief and a lot of trauma. But what I've discovered in this work is that underneath all of it is love. And grief is just really love without a place to go. Because when I was grieving my grandmother, for example, all of those tears that were coming out from me was just an expression of my love for her.
Yes.
It's just not how we're used to experiencing what love is. And it just changed form. And now she supports me and guides me metaphysically in my ministry all the time. I cannot talk about prayer without her being in the room. So yeah, and I'm very pleased to say that I'll be one of the first students in the CSL Grief Circle Facilitator Program, which is organized by Ryan Pulley, sorry. And it feels like the next step in the right direction, because I've already been doing a lot of circle work with forgiveness ceremony and inner child work. I found when you work on grief in my clientele, when you start with grief in my clientele, attached to that is often a lot of inner child. So a lot of my work is inner child, grief, acceptance, pretty much everything I had to go through, right? So it's pretty much my journey.
Exactly. So you have chosen this so that you can find your healing process and then replicate it and share that with others.
And I think
using
the reason why I started with forgiveness is because I finally realized that it takes a lot more energy to hold somebody in unforgiveness than it does to release and let go.
I'm so pleased that we're talking about this, because forgiveness is a prayer as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Forgiving is a prayer for ourselves and for the judgment that we're holding and the idea of that situation. And to forgive that is an enormous prayer. It's like an incredible shifting through into another awareness of who we are and how we can live our lives from that space of forgiveness.
I think
your work is so powerful.
I think forgiveness is a way to make more room in your sacred container, because when you're holding things unforgiven, there's less room for new, exciting opportunities to come in. So a lot of times with my client, they're not experiencing what they would like to. And then when they really do go into vulnerable place and release and forgive, lo and behold, it just starts happening for them automatically. And it's not coming entirely from me, it's coming completely through me.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the thing that unforgiveness is what holds people back from releasing a prayer too, a lot of the time.
So do you use Ho'oponopono in your
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, that's how I use it as a frame to explain forgiveness, because it's very simple. And I like to always point out that it's not only for letting go and forgiveness, it's also for clearing.
And accepting.
The originator of the technique would just go around in silence, clearing everything. So he'd sit down in the chair and he would clear it. He'd look at a video camera before it was taping and he would clear it. So I use it quite often, and you don't always have to do it out loud. You can do it in silence, because a lot of times I'll do it if I'm waiting for a bus or something like that. And there's not always the right time to just start doing that out loud in the middle of nowhere. But I always do it in silence. And I think it's helped me to kind of calm down in moments when I really need to calm down quickly. So yeah, I use that one a lot.
Amazing. So we're here with Joseph Gabrielson, religious science practitioner, licensed practitioner for Centers for Spiritual Living, and doing incredible work as a minister in the making with Florida campus. Neil, it's so great to see you, be here with you. Hi, Neil. Good to see you.
Oh, yes, I love Neil.
Neil Pinkman. Wonderful. Welcome. And for anyone that's viewing Holy in the Flow, there we go, Wayne. People that, if you're viewing right now, we're having a really beautiful conversation about prayer and forgiveness and acceptance and self-love, and how Joseph pulls all of this together, paints his picture with it, and serves himself and others with these beautiful practices that are here and available for us right now, aren't they? They're all here. It's our willingness to use them. So I wanted to ask you, Joseph, before we do a spiritual mind treatment together,
Sure.
how you would, with what is going on right now on our planet and how it has been for the past year and just over a year, well, even longer than that, of course, because we've been preparing for this for a long time, how you would recommend right now that we can use prayer for that grieving that is still happening, the trauma that is still happening, and for the newness that people are also feeling that is coming through, and this excitement so it's like a mixed time, isn't it, of mixed emotions. We know there's new coming through, and it's here right now.
Yeah.
And yet there's still the trauma.
What comes to mind is, I'll use myself as an example. Yes, it is difficult because, we're sequestered at home, or many things are closed. All of the different protocols, it's just changing daily life. But I've noticed that during COVID, with the technology, with the wide reach of it, with more time to focus on prayer and inner work, my ministry is actually growing and blooming despite this. So before I talk about that, I just want to say thank goodness for technology, because
oh yes,
because right now I probably wouldn't be in ministerial school without it. But I would say that prayer connects me back to the love within me that's underneath all those things that might be going on. And this practice, it sounds unbelievably simple, but I find sometimes the simplest thing is often the most effective. What I do is, if I'm really feeling caught up in the world, I spend time visualizing a photograph of my niece or someone that I really care about. And it kind of just dampens down the feeling of anxiety. Because for me, when I look at my niece, it's really easy to go back to God, because she is pure cosmic love. She doesn't have a lot of those beliefs and ideas that we all come into the world and experience, so we hold on to them. She got none of that, and everything is just like, wow, every day. That is her favorite word. So it doesn't have to be a niece. It can be a pet. It can be something I found out the other day is it can be a plant. One of my clients told me that she gets relief by going outside and talking to her plants.
Yeah.
So it can really, really be some simple ways just to feel that connection. And I like to have something short like the Ho'oponopono, because sometimes I'm in a state where I can't even get into the prayer mode. I'm really like frazzled. And so before any hope of doing a prayer, I have to get down a little bit. So I just do something simple like, for example, one of your songs is I Am the Love That I Am. And that is stuck in my head all the time. So I use things like, and I'm not just saying that because you're here, but I do. I find songs with little lines which kind of get me back into that place. So I can go, now I'm relaxed, and now I can actually go into an affirmative prayer. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, absolutely. And I was online yesterday, and there was another woman online as well. We were in a Zoom room, and she had her daughter with her, 5 years old. And it really just I connected with what you've just said there. And this child was just so full of joy, and she was dressed up as an Easter bunny, and she was hopping everywhere. And it was like, where did I lose that? I'm 57 and I lost that. And it's so important, like you're saying, to connect back to that child that's of wonder, of light, of innocence and playfulness, and connect. And that can be a prayer in itself as well, because it's bringing us back to that place of just love.
I think if I was to have, a last message for everybody, it would be that, when you're following a soul-led path, it's not always going to be a straight line. And you might find that you're going, what does this have to do with this? And how is this related to this? And I'm doing so many things, but how are they related? It all comes together. When I first started this, I did not see how grief work, inner child forgiveness, I did not see how they all went together. But now I'm seeing all of these things I've done that seem random, and I'm not quite sure why I'm doing this. There was a reason for that. So it's not that you're going off path, it's that A and B, it's not always a straight line, especially when you're using guidance from your soul, because the soul speaks in feelings, not really logical thought. So you might think, how does my trauma work relate with my, this work and that? And they all seem apart, but they're really not.
They're not.
So that would be my.
Wow. Joseph, thank you so much for being here and sharing and inspiring me and the viewers that I know are watching now, and the ones that are yet to be here and listen to you and see you and hear you. Living faith in oneness. Each week we have different guests on here with different ways of expressing and understanding prayer, and I really love your way of how you explain it and how you simplify it for us to understand that it doesn't have to be this big long process. We can just connect back to this knowing of childlike wonder of who we are. And you're doing such beautiful things, Joseph, and
thank you so much
shining your
for
light
me
in such dynamic ways. And I know your ministry is so powerful and unfolding with so much potential. For viewers here, they can find you on Facebook, can't they? At Divine Heart.
It's facebook.com/Divine Heart Ministry.
Divine
and
Heart
it'll
Ministry.
Be in the description.
Ministry, Divine Heart Ministry.
Yeah.
And are you active on there daily?
Yeah, if you go on there, when my website comes out, it will be shown there. So if you have that, you'll have access to everything.
Good. And people can find you there if they would like to have spiritual counseling or practitioner prayer practitioner work. They can find you there, and you're available for that too, aren't you?
Yeah, and also I'll get Diego to put my email address in the description.
Please do. Yes.
And then
We will do
I'll be contacted by that too. My website should be up in the next month or so. So I'm
That's so
excited
exciting.
about that.
Yeah. So would you like to share a prayer now?
Yeah, for sure.
As we
Which
kind
part
of
did you want to
leave,
do?
if you would like to begin, I'll or if you want me to begin, that's fine. It's about, what do you feel in your heart that we can pray on the knowing of right now that's really relevant?
So I invite you to take my words as your own if they fit, and if they do not, just allow them to roll off. I know that there is one life. That life is the ever-expanding life of spirit. And that life is my life now, and is the life of Laura and everyone listening and watching this, whether it be now or later. In this beautiful container of divine love, I recognize that each one listening is in the right place at the right time for their divine unfoldment. Anything that may seem to say otherwise is not really a blockage. It is an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to know the I am more deeply, an opportunity to express it more deeply. And I know that we are divinely supplied, guided, and directed to take these learning opportunities and make a diamond from what appears to be coal at first sight. And I know that although this pandemic has been very interesting, I know that at the heart of this pandemic is a massive global awakening, a massive global shift and change into a world that is more in alignment with what works for everyone. And I pass the word to Laura.
Oh, and I'm so grateful for this knowing of this awakening that is happening right now within me, within Joseph, within Diego and Reverend Robert and New Thought Media Network and everybody that is watching or listening to this, that we know our awareness, we know our connection to our awareness of who we are, our true nature, and that this true nature is always reminding us, is always showing us of how we can dig deeper, delve deeper, to become the love, the peace, the joy, the expression that we truly are. And I know, just as Joseph has said, that this opportunity that we have right now that may seemingly look and feel as if it is blocking us from our good is actually opening us up so that we can be different, we can feel different, we can express ourselves differently as that deeper connection to love that we truly, truly are. So I know peace, I know love, I know joy, and I know a healing that is happening right now in this moment. And I'm just so grateful for Joseph to be here, for the knowing of this love, this great awakening, for everybody that is watching or listening right now, for New Thought Media Network, and for everybody that is doing something to whatever degree to open up to remembering who they are. So I let go, knowing that God is here. God is always here, always present, always shining through. I release my word, and we can say that together. And so it is.
So it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for being here and shining your light. And I really know that what you're doing is so impactful. And will you come back onto the Cosmic Prayer at some point to share?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love to.
Thank you, Joseph. Joseph Gabrielson, for everybody that's watching or listening, this has been an incredible hour nearly with Joseph. And if you want to connect with him, you can through Facebook, Divine Heart Ministry. You can find him so easily, and the email address will be in the link. His link will be here written below. This is New Thought Media Network, and we are a network that is providing so much for you throughout the week. Every day there are beautiful messages, meditations, visionings, conversations, all sorts of things to inspire you to connect more deeply with your awareness of who you are. So if this touches your heart and moves you, then feel free to give a love offering. There is a link down here below, and you can click that link and easily donate whatever it is that feels right for you in the moment. So we value you being here and keeping this network thriving. So until next week, we're going to say goodbye, and thank you again, Joseph, for being here, and
You're
love
welcome.
to everybody that's been watching the Cosmic Prayer.
Thank you for listening to Cosmic Prayer, your weekly shift with Laura Topper on the New Thought Media Network. If you've enjoyed this programming, please tell a friend and join us again next week for Cosmic Prayer, your weekly shift with Laura Topper.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.